I found this abandoned Vauxhall Corsa for sale on Facebook Marketplace. So I'm going to buy the car to do it up and flip it for a profit. Best I could probably lose £400.
Push to 5.
400, because just in case I got to do head gasket, stuff like that. The problem that he said was the thermostat probably needs changing, right?
The thermostat valve, he said that the wheel bearing's making a bit of a noise, so it's fine, but maybe a bit worn.
So in the description it said that the car needs a new thermostat, but I get there and there's no coolant in the car. Was it just leaking coolant basically? Just overheat?
With the thermostat?
Because obviously there's no coolant in it, so
Right.
I'm just guessing that obviously it's probably leaking coolant from
Okay.
somewhere. So now I'm checking if the head gasket is okay, if there's any sludge on the oil cap, or if the oil and coolant are mixing, which it wasn't.
I was hoping for someone like you to take it off, you know.
So I've taken the car for a drive, and at this point I've noticed damages that I did not see in the photos. After the test drive, I checked the coolant tank if the oil and coolant is mixing, or if there's any bubbling in the coolant expansion tank. The price, what would you be happy to do then? Would you do the 400 and I'll just take it? Obviously there's a bit of money that I got to spend on it.
Happy with 400.
Yeah.
Especially when you show me some more dents as well.
Yeah. There's a spanner light on the dash. I plugged in my Carly diagnostic tool. It told me the fault code for the mass airflow sensor. So that's another point now to get even more money off. Let's see if I can get some money off. To do the 350 if you're able to do that.
Well,
Right,
if you're doing me a favour, take
yeah.
it off.
Well, I'll transfer the money to you now. Guys, what a bargain for 350 quid. Right, I'm on the first drive and this car is knocking like crazy from the front end and the wheel bearing is making a racket at the back. It's not looking good, but for £350, what do I expect? Do you know what I mean? Knocking from the front end, it's got some sort of coolant leak. Obviously, I've put coolant and water in it before I drove it away, and hopefully it lasts me to get home. Main thing is the engine runs good, car ain't overheating or nothing like that. So the spanner light is also on the dashboard. I done a diagnostic check on it anyway when I bought it, and it's just for the mass airflow sensor. So I'm gonna sort that out anyway. So I've made it back home. Let's check if this coolant has moved or not. Fingers crossed. The good news, the coolant hasn't moved at all, which is good. So maybe the coolant was just low because the car was parked on a hill. So I could only see really this part of the coolant expansion tank. So yeah, the coolant has not moved whatsoever. So I'm going to keep an eye on that over the next couple of days to just make sure that the coolant isn't leaking from anywhere. I will need a new grille because as you can see, this has popped out. The wheels are going to need a refurb. This scratch here and dent. The worst one of all of them is this dent right here, which obviously can be repaired. And considering I only paid £350 for the car, I'm going to repair that. I'm probably going to keep it until I fix this BMW because I got this for so goddamn cheap. So the glove box has fallen off. For some reason the rear headrest has been taken out and the parcel shelf was also taken out. The car's also got a slight misfire, so we're going to need a new mass airflow sensor. So I bought all the parts, a wheel bearing, 2 drop links, a new thermostat because the coolant's leaking from the thermostat, and also the evac system is making a ticking noise, and when I unplug it, it stops ticking, so I'm going to need to get a new solenoid for that. I'm going to need the mass airflow sensor because the car's misfiring. I've checked the coil pack, I've checked the spark plugs and they're good, so it's the mass airflow sensor. So I've unplugged the mass airflow sensor and the car's no longer misfiring, so that's pretty good. Got to get a new mass airflow sensor. You never guess what? The car doesn't have the locking wheel nut, so I can't get started on the work, so that's going to be even more money that I'm going to have to spend. I messaged the seller if they still got it, and they said they think they do, so fingers crossed. I'm going to go back to their house tonight, and hopefully they have it, so fingers crossed. But while we're waiting, we can install the thermostat because I don't need to take the wheels off to do this. The first thing to do is to remove the intake pipe so I have better access to the thermostat. And after I remove the air intake, I'm going to use some microfiber cloth to stuff in the turbo so nothing can fall down there. Got the coolant pipe off, let's get the thermostat out and put the new one in. This was the state of the old thermostat, which isn't too bad to be honest. The leak wasn't that bad, but you can see it was leaking like down here. So here's the new one. So let's get the new one in. I then gave the surface a light sand so that the new thermostat can seal properly. And the new thermostat is now on, so it's now time to top up the coolant. Before I top up the coolant, I'm going to remove the radiator drain screw. And the reason I'm doing this is so that I don't get any airlock in the system. So let's pour coolant in until it starts coming out the drain hole. Coolant's now coming out the radiator drain hole, and look at all those air bubbles. So I let the coolant drain out for a bit until all the bubbles go. All the air bubbles are now gone, so let's put the radiator screw back in. Time to start the car and see if I fix the coolant leak. Fingers crossed, guys, fingers crossed. So the spanner light has gone off the dashboard. There's no more spanner light. Let's turn on the heater on hot. The evac system's now making a racket. Have a listen to this. Watch this. Watch me unplug it and watch how it stops. Look, the noise just stops, right? And when I plug it back in, that noise is back again. So I need to replace the evac solenoid. So it's now the next day. I managed to get the lock and wheel nuts. So the first job I'm going to do is the hub. So yesterday I done the thermostat and now I need to do the rear hub. Right, have a listen to this wheel bearing to see if you guys can hear the rumble. That is bad. Let's get this wheel off and get this wheel bearing done. Now I'm just using the breaker bar to crack the brake caliper bolts. So I've gotten off to a fantastic start. This screw is rounded off and I can't get it out. So I was left with no other option than to drill this screw out. And it took a couple of minutes, but finally I drilled it out. And I've got some more bad news. Trying to get the wheel bearing bolt out and the socket that I bought is not deep enough. So as you can see, the socket slipped off the nut. So I tried one more time and it kept slipping off, so I went to Halfords and got a deeper socket. So let's use the impact driver and try get this nut off. Alright, so this is the state of the old wheel bearing and this is now the new one. So let's get the new wheel bearing on. The new wheel bearing and nuts now on, and I'm going to tighten it up slowly before I use the impact driver so it doesn't get cross-threaded. I've tightened the wheel bearing nut with my impact driver, now I'm using the brake bar to make sure that it's tight. Oh my god, that is tight as hell. Yeah guys, that is tight. That is not coming off. And the last thing to do is to put this cover on and put everything back together. It's time for the first drive to see if I've fixed the wheel bearing, so fingers crossed guys. Yeah, we fixed it. No more wheel bearing noise. Yes guys, this car feels so much better to drive. Obviously it's now knocking from the front end though, but I've got the drop links, so we're going to put the drop links and the new brake pads on next. Time to do the drop links and brake pads. My only issue with the brake pads is that they're squeaking like crazy, so I'm guessing the brake pads may be quite low. But when I took the wheel off, you can see there's quite a lot of brake pads left. So let's get the brake caliper off and see what's going on. So the old brake pads are fine, so I'm going to give them a clean and see if that fixes the issue. So I'm using brake cleaner and a wire brush to get rid of any brake dust or dirt. Definitely in need of a clean if you have a look at that. So I'm not going to put the new pads on yet. I'm going to keep them, but they don't need to be replaced yet because there is plenty of brake pads left there. Hopefully that sorts out the brake squeaking, and then I'm going to put some copper grease on the brakes as well. So the brakes are now cleaned. Now I'm just using some copper grease on the brake pads, so fingers crossed that solves the issue. The brake pads are now on. Let's put the brake caliper back on. Alright, the next thing to do is to change these drop links. So I'm using some grips on my impact driver in hopes to get this drop link off. Yes guys, got it out. Easy. So I've got the drop link out and this is the state of it, look at that. Alright, so that's not good, so let's get the new one in. The drop link's now in and I'm pretty sure that this is going to fix the knocking issue, so let's get the wheel on and do the same to the other side. So I've just done the other side and also the brakes, so let's put the wheel on and go for a drive, and fingers crossed. No knocking, no squeaking from the brakes, which is really good. So all the brakes needed was some cleaning and some copper grease on it. The main mechanical stuff are now done, so the next thing to do is the evac solenoid and also the mass airflow sensor. The new mass airflow sensor has just arrived. Let's get it out and put the new one in. Alright, the moment of truth, has the misfire been fixed? Let's start the car. So far, the car is not misfiring, which is great. That's good. So thank God that fixed the misfire. The next thing to do is this evac solenoid. Let's get this old one out and put a new one in. I think it's going to be quite easy to do. And it's going to be so nice to not hear that ticking inside the car. It's time to give this car a wash because it's filthy. I've done all the mechanical work. Let's wash this car because yeah, it's looking filthy. So I'm starting off by giving the car a jet wash to jet wash off all the dirt. And then I use a bucket of soapy water with a sponge to get rid of all the dirt. I'm not a professional detailer, so I wouldn't advise to follow what I'm doing. Now it's time to rinse off all the soap with the jet wash, and now I can see the condition of the bodywork. And the last thing to do is obviously to dry the car. So the car is now washed and dried. Now it's time to give the car a polish because there's a lot of swirl marks and scratches on this paintwork. Have a look at this, hopefully the polisher could get rid of that. So I've only got a Roby wireless buffer, so I'm not sure if it's actually going to take out those scratches or not. But as you can see, the paint's definitely been brought back to life compared to that front door. Let's do the front door and see the transformation. This is how the car looks after the polish, and I must say it's turned out pretty well. I also tried to get this rear dent out a little bit, and as you can see, it definitely looks a lot better than it did before. So obviously I've done this off camera. If you want to see how I done it, check out my TikTok page. But this is the car, guys. The paintwork has definitely been brought back to life. The only thing is the wheels are in a state, load of brake dust on it, and I think because the wheels are in such a state, there's no point trying to sit there for ages scrubbing off the brake dust, because I'll probably get those refurbished. And the next thing to do is to clean the interior. So have a look at these seats now. So this is a before, and have a look at the rear seats, which is also really dirty, and I'm going to clean them up nicely. I start off by giving the seats a hoover so I could get rid of any dirt, so I could then use the wet vac. The seats have now been hoovered, so it's time to give them a wet vac. The rear seats are now clean and have turned out great, but have a look at the state of this driver's seat. Let's see if we can transform it. This seat was so dirty, it took a while to get it looking nice again. The driver's seat's now complete and it looks as good as new. Have a look at that. First is this. Wow, what a transformation. So this is how the car's turned out after a polish, and I must say the car looks really good. Even this dent, if you remember how bad it was before, you could literally hardly see it. So whatever I did definitely improved that dent. So is the paintwork, it's shining after a polish, and the biggest transformation is the interior. Obviously the only thing that lets the car down is the wheels. They could definitely do with a refurb, but let me show you guys the interior. So have a look at that. The interior almost looks brand new, literally. Look at the dashboard and everything. These seats were absolute state. Look at the back seat now as well. So it's definitely worth it back in the car. Paintwork is shining. The brake dust is bloody hard to come off these wheels, so I think I might get the wheels refurbished and the bumper. But apart from that, literally, the car's turned out really well, apart from the wheels. Drop a comment down below what you guys think. I've also bought this Vauxhall Insignia as well, but for some reason I didn't film any content on it. No? 1780 then.
1800 quid.
So I found this car for sale on Facebook Marketplace. I'm going to try buy it and flip it for a profit.
It had 4 new tyres on it.
Yeah.
Definitely serviced.
A car that you bought to sell?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I've been using it for about a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And that's only had 2 keepers, look.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that. I've done a HPI check on it. It's time to try lowball the seller. We already agreed on £1,800. So the best you could do is 1,800, right?
That's it.
So you can't do 1,750 right now?
1800 quid. Deal?
1,780 then.
1800 quid.
Alright then. 800 quid. He wasn't having it at all. I think £1,800 is a fair price, so I'm just going to pay the full amount. Thank you.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. So I've made it back home. It was an hour drive back and the car drove spot on, so £1,800 well spent.